Have you ever met someone who seems calm, distant, almost untouchable, yet you can feel a quiet, undeniable power behind everything they do? That is the essence of Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign often admired for its brilliance, its subtle rebellion, and its extraordinary ability to observe the world from angles most people never even notice. They walk through life with an air of serene freedom, as if they belong to a rhythm the rest of us haven't learned yet. To many, they appear relaxed, open-minded, and effortlessly unique. But behind that gentle exterior lies something far more complex, a silent ego that doesn't speak loudly, but shapes everything in their universe. This ego doesn't shout, compete, or demand the spotlight. Instead, it influences quietly. It exists in their thoughts, their independence, their unshakable certainty that their perspective is different and often superior. Aquarius doesn't mark territory with words, they mark it with ideas, with distance, with a subtle confidence that suggests they are operating on a wavelength slightly ahead of the rest. To understand the silent ego of Aquarius, we must step into their inner world, a world where logic blends with intuition, where freedom is sacred, and where the mind is always searching for something greater, something beyond what is visible. Their ego isn't born from arrogance, but from the deep desire to protect their essence, their originality, and the mental space in which they feel truly alive. In this video, we're going to explore that invisible shadow that follows Aquarius everywhere they go. A shadow that doesn't destroy, but shields. A shadow that shapes how they love, how they connect, how they think, and how they distance themselves when the world feels too close, too loud, or too limiting. So sit back, open your mind, and let's dive into the mysterious world of the Aquarius ego. Silent, powerful, and endlessly fascinating.
The ego of absolute independence, when Aquarius believes they don't need anyone. Aquarius is often described as the most independent sign of the zodiac, but few truly understand how deep that independence runs. For Aquarius, autonomy isn't just a preference, it is a form of survival. Their mind functions like a private laboratory, one where every emotion, experience, and decision is processed internally before the world ever sees even a fraction of the result. They trust this inner system more than anything else, because it has guided them through moments when no one else could. From childhood, many Aquarians learn to rely on themselves. They discover early on that their thoughts don't always align with the expectations of others, and that their ideas are often misunderstood or dismissed. So they begin to build an internal home, one made of logic, intuition, and a quiet sense of self-sufficiency. Over time, that home becomes sacred, and once something becomes sacred to Aquarius, they will defend it with a calm but unmovable force. This is where the silent ego appears. Not loud, not confrontational, not dramatic, just firm. When Aquarius feels that someone is trying to influence their decisions, pressure them emotionally, or pull them into a dynamic that threatens their freedom, something inside them shuts down. It is subtle, almost invisible, but unmistakable. Their eyes remain calm, their voice steady, but emotionally, the connection begins to fade. They distance themselves, not with anger, but with silence. A silence so clean and sharp that it can feel like a door closing slowly but definitively. To others, this behavior can be confusing, even painful. People may interpret it as coldness, rejection, or emotional detachment. But for Aquarius, this withdrawal is not an act of punishment. It is a reflex of protection. They are not afraid of people. They are afraid of losing themselves within people. They fear being consumed by expectations, by dependency, by emotional obligations that feel like invisible chains. And yet, here lies the paradox. Aquarius is not as independent as they appear. Beneath the layers of intellect and self-sufficiency, they do crave connection, just not the kind that suffocates or confines. They want relationships that feel free, open, breathable. They want people who respect their pace, their need for space, their internal universe. They want to know they can retreat without being abandoned and return without being questioned. The silent ego of Aquarius emerges most strongly when they sense that someone expects too much of them emotionally. Whether it's a partner wanting more closeness, a friend demanding constant reassurance, or a family member trying to shape their choices, Aquarius reacts by stepping back, not because they don't care, but because they care differently.
Their lesson, however, is profound. Opening the heart does not dissolve independence. Letting someone in does not erase the self. And vulnerability is not the opposite of freedom, it is a deeper expression of it. When Aquarius learns this, their independence becomes something healthier, softer, more expansive. It transforms from a shield into a strength, one that allows them to love without fear and connect without losing themselves. The ego of the visionary, when they believe they see what others cannot. Aquarius is, by nature, a sign that lives ahead of its time. While others are anchored in the present, Aquarius is already imagining what the world could be, not what it currently is. Their mind is a constellation of ideas, bold, innovative, progressive, and they navigate through life as though they are following a map only they can see. This visionary quality is one of their greatest gifts, but it is also the birthplace of one of their most subtle and powerful egos. Aquarius doesn't boast about their intelligence or originality. They don't need to. Their confidence comes from an internal certainty, a quiet knowing that their perspective is broader, more objective, or simply more evolved than the average mind. They observe patterns others overlook, notice inconsistencies others accept, and imagine solutions others haven't even realized they need. But here is where the ego forms its quiet shape. When Aquarius becomes convinced that they understand something on a deeper level, they begin to interact with the world from a subtle altitude, as if seeing everything from a higher vantage point. They listen to people, yes, but often with a kind of patient detachment. The conversation continues on the outside, but internally, Aquarius has already made the conclusion. They appear open, calm, receptive, but beneath that stillness lies an unspoken thought. I already see where this is going. I already know the bigger picture. This is not arrogance in the traditional sense. It's not loud, not condescending, not harsh. It is quiet, smooth, almost invisible, but unmistakable to those who truly know Aquarius. When someone challenges their ideas, especially with emotional arguments or traditional thinking, Aquarius doesn't explode or argue. They simply disconnect. The switch flips. Their eyes soften. Their face remains neutral, but their mind retreats into its own certainty. They don't feel the need to debate, because in their internal world, the debate is already settled. This creates a unique dynamic. Aquarius seems open-minded, yet internally unmovable. They appear tolerant, yet emotionally distant during disagreement. They seem to consider everything, yet their loyalty to their own vision remains absolute. And those around them can feel it. That subtle, I know better energy. That unspoken belief that others are navigating reality with outdated maps. That gentle but unmistakable sense of superiority, not egoic, but intellectual.
But this ego, like all of Aquarius's traits, has a deeper truth behind it. Aquarius does see things others cannot. Their perspective is often more expansive. Their mind is naturally ahead. But wisdom is not only found in logic, creativity, and futuristic thinking. It also lives in emotional experience, intuition, lived history, areas Aquarius occasionally undervalues. Sometimes the person who sees the future needs the guidance of someone who understands the present. Sometimes the visionary needs the grounding of someone who feels deeply rather than thinks far. When Aquarius learns to balance vision with empathy, intellect with humility, logic with emotional insight, their brilliance becomes something extraordinary, not just a light that shines ahead, but a light that helps others see more clearly too. Because in the end, a true visionary doesn't stand above others. They illumine the path so everyone can walk together.
The ego of emotional detachment, when they believe feeling too much is a weakness. Aquarius is often praised for their calmness, their clarity, and their ability to stay composed even when emotions are swirling all around them. But few realize that this emotional detachment is not always natural. It is learned, constructed, and reinforced through years of protecting their inner world from becoming overwhelmed. And behind that serene exterior lies one of their quietest but most powerful egos, the belief that rising above emotions somehow makes them stronger, wiser, or more evolved. Aquarius does not detach because they lack emotion. They detach because their emotions run deeper than people assume. To survive that depth, Aquarius builds a kind of inner fortress where everything is analyzed before it is felt, rationalized before it is expressed, and filtered before it ever reaches the surface. They become observers of their own heart, watching their feelings from a distance instead of stepping into them fully. Over time, this becomes their armor, their shield against chaos, drama, and the unpredictable nature of human vulnerability.
But this protective stance gives rise to an ego that whispers silently, "I handle emotions better because I don't let them control me. I stay clear because I don't fall into the traps others do." They won't say these words out loud. They may not even consciously realize they think this way, but it shows in their reactions. When someone cries easily, Aquarius stays calm. When someone expresses intense anger or fear, Aquarius steps back. When someone becomes emotionally dependent, Aquarius quietly fades out of reach. To them, emotional intensity can appear unnecessary, messy, or even irrational. Instead of seeing vulnerability as a sign of courage, they sometimes see it as instability. And in those moments, without meaning to, they place themselves above the emotional world, as if logic were superior to feeling, as if detachment were a cleaner, more intelligent way to navigate life. This is where their silent ego takes form, not as pride, not as judgment, but as distance. They believe they're staying objective, when in truth, they're avoiding emotional discomfort. They believe they're being strong, when in truth, they're protecting old wounds. They believe they're rising above, when in truth, they're stepping aside. People close to Aquarius often feel this emotional gap deeply. They sense the wall, the coolness, the lack of open vulnerability. They may wonder why Aquarius seems untouched by the storms that shake others. But the truth is, Aquarius feels more than they show. They simply process those feelings in a private, internal realm where no one else has access. Yet this ego holds a lesson that Aquarius must eventually face.
Feeling deeply is not a weakness. It is a form of intelligence, a form of courage, a form of truth. Emotion is not chaos. It is communication.
It is how the heart speaks. It is how connection is formed. It is how life becomes meaningful. When Aquarius learns to allow emotion to coexist with logic, to feel without fear, and to open up without losing their sense of self, something remarkable happens. Their relationships deepen, their understanding expands, their humanity becomes richer and more complete. Because the real strength of Aquarius doesn't come from staying detached, it comes from daring to feel, even when it scares them.
The closing reflection. The silent battle within Aquarius. In the end, the ego of Aquarius is not a monster, but a mirror, a reflection of their deepest desires and their most hidden fears. Behind every rebellious thought, every visionary leap, every refusal to conform, there is a soul searching for authenticity in a world that often rewards imitation. They want to belong, yet they cannot betray what makes them different. They want to feel, yet they fear emotions will drown the clarity of their mind. They want to lead us into the future, yet they struggle to stay grounded in the present. The truth is simple. Aquarius was never meant to fit into ordinary shapes, but they were never meant to stand alone either. Their challenge is to recognize that uniqueness does not disappear when shared, and vulnerability does not weaken brilliance. When Aquarius learns to balance their ego with openness, their gifts become unstoppable. They transform from the outsider looking in to the visionary who guides others toward a world only they could imagine. And perhaps, in that moment, Aquarius finally realizes being understood does not steal their originality, it amplifies it.